So Ash, I went down to the art supply store the other day
Mm-hmm.
and I picked up a tube of cobalt blue
Mm-hmm.
and a tube of cadmium orange, and I went up to the cashier and I asked him, because he was an art college student, I figured he'd know. I asked him, "Are these colors complementary?" And he said, "Yes, of course." And I said, "Thanks," and I walked out without paying for them. Complimentary, get it? Get it? Complimentary. Fortune.
And welcome to our studio series. Enough of that nonsense. Today we're going to talk about complementary colors, complementary with an E.
And remind us, Aisling, what would those be?
So as we discussed in an earlier video, I'm going to link that up here somewhere. A color is complementary to another when it is directly across from it on the color wheel.
Yeah, colors directly opposite each other on the color wheel react with each other in interesting ways, and we're going to show you how to use that to get a vibrant color palette.
The first thing to look at is how you weigh the two colors. Putting two complementary colors side by side in roughly equal quantity is okay, but you're not really getting the benefit of the relationship this way. This is more obvious if you reiterate this process like this. You can see that instead of intensifying each other, they in fact tend to cancel each other out. If you do it even more, you can see that everything is melding into a pretty neutral brown color.
This was something the pointillists like George Seurat learned in the 19th century. They thought that juxtaposing tiny blocks of pure color side by side would get them great color intensity, but in some of their bigger paintings, the colors seem to optically blend into quite neutral colors, much like this.
So the first thing then is to know that complementary colors work better when one is an accent and the other is a background. Think 80-20. Here, the red square really pops out against the green background.
And that's not just because red is intrinsically a stronger color. As you can see, it also works pretty well in reverse. Here, the green pops against the red background.
And this will work for any two complements. Just make sure to treat one as an accent and the other as a background. The next principle to know is that the relationship tends to work better if you mute the background a little bit.
And remember, you mute a color by adding a bit of its complementary to it.
So in this case, adding a bit of red into the green gives you a more muted olive green. Now the red accent stands out even more. And as you can see, it works in reverse as well. Adding a little bit of green into the red background makes the green pop even more. So putting this all into practice.
Well, here's an example many of you may already have encountered. You have a beautiful fall scene, some brilliant orange foliage against a bright blue sky. You take some photographs, you take them home, maybe you do a painting out of one, and yet it still doesn't convey the drama that you experienced when you were there at the time.
Like those old school oversaturated Kodachrome photographs you find in every family photo album.
Exactly. And so one way to counteract that is to take a little bit of that complementary orange color and mix it in with the sky color. It will still read as blue. We're not going to make the sky completely grey, but it will mute it a bit, and then you'll find that the orange of the foliage really pops against that slightly muted blue sky.
Okay, so let's look at some examples where this has been applied effectively.
Okay, I've dug a few of mine out of the archives. Let's take a look. So this fall scene has a lot of blue underpainting showing through as a counterpoint to the flaming orange leaves. And this evening scene in downtown Toronto uses muted purples to increase the intensity of those yellow lights.
And this one by Sin Yao Seng is also a duet with muted violets playing against the vibrant yellow lights.
And this is a great example of how you can avoid muddiness in your tertiary or neutral tones. In this painting, those greys could have looked very dull and muddy. But in order to avoid that, he took a little bit of the complementary color of that yellow, so a purple, and moved his greys over towards that purple color with a wonderful overall effect.
It just punches out those yellows a little bit more.
So much more, and it avoids that muddiness that you get sometimes with your greys.
In this piece, Soroya depicts his wife in a red tunic. He's using a very muted green background to really emphasize that red.
And also the skin tones. That's why you very often see portraits against a muted green background, because it's a complementary and it is very flattering against those warm skin tones.
Ding! And of course, these concepts are not only applied in painting. You'll see them being used everywhere. Interior decorators use them to accent a color. The movie industry makes extensive use of complementary colors to create a mood or to create a certain look.
So the next time you're painting, instead of just randomly plugging in your favorite colors, use some of the concepts we discussed today to take a more deliberate approach to create the mood or tell the story that you're looking to tell.
And let us know how you got on. Did you find these ideas useful? As always, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to see more content like this. And for now, goodbye!
Bye!